So I'm currently on day 10. Yeah, today's the 10th day since I restarted my practice. And I just wanted to talk about my first full week, what I did and what it was like for me. So of course, if you're studying, you need to start with the most basic things, right? So the first 7 days were all about line work or line art. This is all about the quality of the lines that you draw, the line thickness, the weight, knowing how to make a smooth mark from one point to another. That's just the gist of the whole thing. This isn't a tutorial, so I'm not really going to do that. This is just more of a rundown and a documentation. That's all. As for how I studied, in line walk isn't very basic. It's just about doing simple exercises to improve your muscle memory and your hand to eye coordination. So that's really more or less what you need to work on when you're trying to improve the quality of your lines. I found this video. I don't remember who it's from, but I will find it and I'll add in the description in case you are looking to work on that. I also took this course a few months ago. I never did finish it, but I do remember some of the exercises, and that was also quite helpful in giving me something to work with. So, like I said, these are simple exercises like making two marks and then connecting those two marks with one straight line, drawing ellipses in perspective, drawing two lines with a space in between, and connecting those two spaces with lines and just trying to be as consistent as possible. Like I said, this isn't a tutorial, so I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I just want to kind of give you an understanding of what it is you need to do. A lot of what goes into art is about intention, knowing what kind of marks you're making and where you're making them. And when you practice, when you're doing it right, it that understanding comes quickly. Like I said, I've done this most of these exercises before, so it wasn't really an issue because I did go in knowing what to expect. However, I did struggle with some things, the same things I struggled with the last time I did these exercises. You know, focusing and tensing up, and that perfectionist side of you takes over, and you find yourself wanting to make the perfect mark, but then it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, so you have to accept that and just keep going. It was hard feeling those things and that having that conflict, but reminding myself of what the point was just helped me to keep moving. Now, if you're going to do this, I will give you a couple of tips of advice, especially if you're starting from scratch. The very first thing I would say is about knowing how to control your pencil or pen, because we're used to writing with our wrists, but if you're going to make a smooth, fluid mark, you can't do that. So you need to be able to know how to hold the pencil or the pen right. You need to be able to know how to control your arm, because we're so used to writing with we're so used to using our wrists. It's very difficult, and it's an adjustment period for a while, and I'm still very much in that period, but it's something you, even if you don't get used to doing it, you get used to understanding that you have to do it. So I'd say before anything else, that's the first thing. You need to know how to use your shoulder, or at least your elbow, to make something that even resembles a good mark. Art is one of those things that, because it's such a difficult skill, you need to face the fact that you're going to make mistakes early on, and that starts from this very point. Like, there's no running from that. So I'll encourage you to be fine with your mistakes. You are going to make them. Like, it's a given. Just accept that. And in between making those marks and trying to connect them, or just making a fluid mark of any kind, you are going to go off. You are going to miss the point you're trying to get to entirely, and it will happen sometimes. Don't go back and correct them. Don't mull over them. Just take the mark once and move on. And if you're someone who is prone to trying to make the perfect mark, use a pen. Don't use a pencil, because you can't go back and undo that mark you made. You need to be okay with that, and it's just about continuing to move forward and being okay with your errors, because you learn from them, and that's how you become a better artist. One last tip of advice I'd give: when you're making a mark, make it once. Don't hesitate. Don't start and then stop. Do it all in one fluid motion, because that is the technique. That is how you get to really make it stick, right? Because if you hesitate, then you're not sure of yourself, and even if you do make that mistake, because you're training your arm to do the thing you want it to do, that mistake is still good. There isn't really a right or wrong. You just get it eventually. Just be confident with your lines, and be intentional about any mark you want to make. Think about it, and don't just make these marks blindly because you want to get it over with. Really put your thought into it, focus, and just do it, and you'll be fine. Like I said, I'm only 1 week in, so I still have forever to go. I do still have 25 initial weeks to go, but there's a lot to learn, and it's intimidating, but it's exciting, because I want this to count, and I want this to be a solid foundation that I can build the rest of my journey off of.